I'd like to ask you a few questions which are more about your program, both on the domestic and on the international affairs. On the domestic front, according to polls, the main worries of the population and the main drivers for their votes by far are inflation, unemployment, and poverty. On the other hand, there seems to be very little concern about issues such as reform, democracy, corruption, or terrorism, or even education, which often top the list of international observers. How do you explain this discrepancy, and how, if elected, would you address these issues which are so important for the population of Pakistan?
I've given all the answers in your past questions, of course. But if you want another answer, I think these are the fruits of so-called fruits of dictatorship that we are witnessing today. See, they say that the treasury is full, but the people are struggling for flour. They don't have wheat flour. Wheat was exported some time ago at a very low price, then imported back into this country at almost double rates, double the price. Who made those heavy commissions in the exports and imports of wheat? And what was the need to export wheat when we ourselves are facing wheat shortage today in this country? This is a very big question that everybody needs to ask the government. And then the government has done nothing to improve the living standards of the common man, and they've done nothing especially for the downtrodden. The downtrodden is in a very bad shape. So if you see any development that has taken place in this country, it has always been in democratic eras. For example, if you take example of our government embarked upon a policy of free market economy. It is our government in 1990 which initiated privatization for the first time in this country. And we came up with very good economic reforms. Even India was surprised, and the Indian Prime Minister asked me that he wants to send a team to study our economic reforms in Pakistan. So we welcomed them. We said, okay, fine. And they took that blueprint from us, implemented that successfully in India, while the momentum here in this country was then broken by the then president, who dissolved our parliament on the recommendations or on the support of the Chief of Army Staff. So I should say that the Chief of Army Staff must stay as the Chief of Army Staff. We want the army to stay within its domain and not step out of its domain and enter into politics. And we don't want the Chief of Army Staff to become a super prime minister in this country, right? So what I mean to say is that these are the results of dictatorship that we are seeing today. So we have a track record of a government who actually believed in development of infrastructure, communication, network in the country. For example, the motorways that you see in this country. I don't know whether you've traveled from Islamabad to Lahore on the motorways. It's a motorway which was built by my government. The motorway has now gone further north from Islamabad to Peshawar. This motorway was to go right from Peshawar to Karachi. And we are the ones who actually laid the foundation for all these things. And that is why having been absent from the scene for almost about 8 years, you still see this massive public support for our party. Uh, and the government really was unnerved after having seen this support of the people of Pakistan. And that is also one reason that they have postponed the elections, because they think that our party enjoys a very strong support at the grassroots level in the country. So, as far as uh, development is concerned, we have an excellent track record.
But now, given the current situation, there's some people worry about Taliban or Al Qaeda activities or terrorism. Is there anything special you would do to deal with it? How do you see this issue?
Well, Mr. Musharraf has been mishandling a lot of issues which are having their repercussions now, and terrorism or extremism. You see, we are against all forms of terrorism, whether it is in Pakistan or anywhere in the world, and we are committed to fight terrorism. But then, of course, terrorism thrives under dictatorship. It never thrives under democracy. Mr. Musharraf is in the habit of taking decisions off the cuff, and he takes decisions in a very casual manner. When I saw his dossier, before appointing him as the Chief of Army Staff, it was written in his dossier that he is a very erratic man, impulsive, and highly unreliable. I think I made the biggest mistake of my life by appointing this man as the Chief of Army Staff. But I accept that I made a mistake. Somebody asked me, do you ever realize what mistakes you made in the past when you were the Prime Minister, or the biggest mistake that you committed? I said, appointing Mr. Musharraf as the Chief of Army Staff. That is my biggest mistake, and that is my only regret. Anyway, we are not angels, we make mistakes. So, this man has been mishandling these sensitive issues, and now the country is facing all that. The country itself is in the grip of terrorism.